Hello, audience. My name is Dawson. His name is Justin.
Hello.
And welcome back to another movie review. Today's movie is going to be one that me and Justin have talked about quite a bit, just in our own conversations. But he still says that he's never seen, even though he's seen parts of it. But I think that we should see it because this is kind of a universe we're pretty much diving into now, and that is the 2014 Godzilla.
Okay.
Uh, it's just one of those movies that I know you were around when I watched it, and I know you know parts of it, but you haven't seen it all the way through. And I think, from what I remember of it, it being really badass.
Okay.
All right.
Let's get on into it. And we're back. So we'll just finish watching Godzilla. Dawson, would you please tell us the synopsis and the actors?
Godzilla is about the world is beset by the appearance of monstrous creatures, but one of them may be the only one who can save humanity. This movie has a weird cast. I'll just say that the main character is played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and he plays Ford Brody. And I guess you have appearances by Bryan Cranston as Joe Brody and Elizabeth Olsen as Ellie Brody. We also have Ken Watanabe Watanabe as Dr. Ishiro something or another, but he's like he's the one who was like studying at Monarch.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the head guy, and then we thought he died, but then he didn't. The thing.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there's a bunch of people in this movie, but it's really hard to narrow it down. I'm just gonna say Aaron Taylor Johnson as Ford Brody. He's the main character. He's the one we follow throughout this movie. But yeah, so like we mentioned at the beginning of the video, I thought that Justin had seen this movie when we watched it about a year or two ago, but he wasn't paying much attention. I've seen this movie twice, but honestly, I needed a refresher, and now I actually have this movie in my head, and I know exactly how I want to discuss this movie. But Justin, as always, you go first.
So this movie, I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan. In fact, I might have only seen like one other Godzilla movie in my life, maybe two. I'm not quite sure. I think we saw Godzilla versus like Mothra or something like that. At one point. But I'm not claiming to be like a Godzilla fan, and by any stretch of the imagination. But I still
Sure.
thought this movie was all right. It's just another. It's kind of like another mindless action movie, but with a monster thrown in it or a couple monsters thrown in it. Um, Godzilla is a cool character. Kaiju's are a cool concept. But they've never really been my thing. But still, I enjoyed this movie. For the most part, I should
Yeah.
say. There's a few things that are like just general questions that would basically my thing was thinking like if Godzilla has this photon blast thingamajigger, whatever he's doing, that basically kills these other kaijus, the Muto, then and like why wasn't he just using it the entire time? But then there's the thinking of okay, if you read the story like that, then the fight's over within like 5 minutes and there's no major conflict.
Well, I
So
also I also think it's not necessarily that this is my understanding of what they're going for with that because you saw him use it a total of 3 times, maybe
something like that, yeah.
2 or 3 times. One was to kill the final monster, the final Muto or Mothra in this movie. But my understanding and my belief and how I'm going to try to what's the word I'm looking for? This is how I see it. He can't use it multiple times. I think it's like a build up.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
I think that it's a build up of radiation that he has to like absorb to use it. So he can't just like constantly shoot it off. Like he has to build it back up to be able to use it again. And I feel that that's what really drained him was using it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
because he was getting his ass kicked, sure, but I feel like using that really drained a lot out of him, and that's why he basically passed out at the end. Um, but um, yeah, okay, continue.
Um, I thought main character dude Brody dude was a pretty good character, but at the same time he wasn't really too vital to the story.
Sure.
The only thing he really did that was a sufficient addition to the fight was destroying all of the Muto eggs. So and like besides that, like he said he was going to defuse that bomb. He didn't. He put it on a
Mhm.
boat and sent it away.
Do you know what MUTO stands for?
I know they said it, but I don't remember.
Massive unidentified terrestrial organism.
Okay.
It's Mothra. It's just a Mothra. That's
It
that's exactly what it is.
it really does not look like what I think Mothra would look like.
Well, I think this is what I like in this movie. They really, really, really design the creatures well.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way Godzilla looks. It's equal parts original and equal parts new. And they really, really did a good job with him. And with the Mothras, I felt like going too insect with it would kind of just make it look too funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the old Mothras are really insect looking. They just look like giant moths. And I felt like having this thing, these two things live throughout millenniums. I think a giant bug wouldn't survive as long as a giant reptilian thing
Mm-hmm.
would. And because they're both kind of dormant, they're both in their eggs or whatever. Godzilla has been kind of just staying under the water in the depths of the oceans for all this time. That's why we haven't been able to find him, I guess, or maybe he was also contained at some point. It's really hard to tell. This movie really doesn't. I mean, one of the biggest problems I have in this movie is a few things. The monster part of it were really, really cool, but their origins weren't explained well enough. Like, we understand Godzilla comes from radioactive material. They say it blatantly in the movie, because of all the radiation and radioactive material and these nukes and all this stuff, Hiroshima, all this stuff, these monsters have been feeding off of it and becoming more powerful and whatever it might be. But, there's the one point where another egg was being transferred all around the world, and then it ended up inside this, like, radiation place in Arizona or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then it
No,
just
it was
breaks
Nevada.
out, Nevada, and it just breaks out, and then it's just gone, and then really, really, really fast, all the monsters just go around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like one can fly, I get that. One can swim, I get that. But one of them can just walk on land, and it's going all around the world way too fast. Like it's just going everywhere. And another thing I'm not really a fan of is the human characters in the movie. You have Ford Brody and his father, Ford's wife and son, and they're supposed to like do this whole thing where you're supposed to feel for these characters that you Ford as a little kid lost his mother and his father kind of went crazy and tried to find out answers and all these crazy theories that his father had turned out to be true, and then you saw the death of his father basically in Ford's arms, and then the separation of him and his wife and his kid, and the kid separation from the mom, and then Ford trying to defuse the bomb and trying to figure it out, but he can't defuse the bomb because it's stuck closed, and all this stuff is supposed to be very, very emotional, and at some points it is, sure. I mean, they do evoke some type of emotion out of you, but not as strong as you're supposed to. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the emotion for these characters that you're supposed to feel were there, but not as strong as was intended. Um, and it was all well acted. I think every single person really pulled through in this movie. I just felt like the human aspect of this movie was outweighed by the monster aspect.
Hmm.
Seeing these creatures fight, trying to figure out what the hell is happening, these news broadcasts, seeing people run and scream, the destruction of this movie outweighed the human of this movie. Which, I don't know if they were going for. Of course, one of the biggest problems with this movie that a lot of people had was not enough Godzilla. That Godzilla really wasn't in this movie enough.
I could see
For
that.
me, for me, that wasn't the case. I wasn't I wasn't put off by the fact that Godzilla wasn't in it, because I kind of felt like they said in the movie, this Godzilla is nature's wrath. That because of all the destruction that humans put on the earth, Godzilla has been born to basically uh, as nature's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not wrath, but as nature's uh, final straw. I don't know how to really put it in the word, but this is what humans have done to nature, and now nature is retaliating. And we have created this giant monster that could take us all out. But what does it do? It protects us. Um, and that's really cool because in past, Godzilla has kind of just been like destroy everything. Nothing like, and he was in this movie, but there's a lot of points where he tried to take the monsters away from the humans, take them into the water. Trying to just take out these monsters so that more humanity can survive, and that's kind of a cool thing. I thought having Mothra have um, more of a presence in this movie than Godzilla was actually good, because you really know your villain. You get to know the destruction that these creatures caused, and got to know their storyline, and got to kind of root for Godzilla because he was this not underdog, but he was this character that was very in the shadows. You only got to see his spikes, or maybe glimpses here and there of a foot or something, but not that much of him until these final battles where you get to see these giant pulled back shots of him and both the Mothras, or him and one of the Mothras fighting. And he's not necessarily winning the fights, but these giant fights, these giant battles going down, buildings falling, fire, explosions, just all this cool shit. And I thought that was really good. I will stand by this till the end of time. My favorite, basically, monster noise or noise in any movie of all time is the noise that Godzilla makes in this movie. His roar is petrifying. Like, it sends shivers down my spine every time it happens. I just love it because Justin knows this, and I'm not afraid to say it. I hate water. I am terrified of the ocean and what could be lurking in the ocean. I do not like it whatsoever. And to think that a creature like that is dwelling within this ocean, and that his presence is that massive, and the destruction he can cause is that great, and the noise he makes can bring down buildings, and just it's just amazing. I love the noise he makes. Like I said, it gives me goosebumps. And alongside with Mothra too, Mothra also makes this gut wrenching screech when it roars. It's amazing. I love it. Um, Now, another thing that people were kind of upset about was the death of the father character played by, no, what's his name? What was his name? Oh, Bryan Cranston. By Bryan Cranston. His death was too soon in the movie. I didn't think so. It was like 40 minutes into the movie.
Hmm.
Like, it didn't happen in the first 15 minutes. It was like 40 something minutes in. Granted, the movie's 2 hours long, or almost 2 hours long. There was a lot of the movie without his presence in it, but I felt like his death was justified to a certain extent. It wasn't a dumb death, and I felt like I couldn't see Bryan Cranston running around as much as all these other kids, all these other kids in this movie, but all the other characters in the movie. I didn't know what he really could have added, other than this is exactly all my research. Here it is, or at least as much as I can give you. Here's my knowledge, and that's really it. He's basically like the powerhouse of knowledge in this movie, but having him dead kind of left the characters like distraughted, and I thought that was fine.
Hmm.
So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
One thing I'm thinking, um, if this movie was more realistic, and it's like basically at the end after Godzilla saves everything, there's no way in hell that the government, the army, any army in the world would let Godzilla live, just knowing that he is a giant monster. There's no way in hell that Godzilla should still be alive by the end of this movie, because if this was a real world scenario, which of course of the movie, duh, but if this is a real world scenario, they like every army from every country on this planet would launch every missile they had to try to kill this thing. Even though it just saved a city, we don't know. It
Well,
can't speak. We can't tell its intentions.
it just saved the world. It's not just the city. I mean, if those eggs would have hatched and both those Mothras were still alive, the world would be destroyed. It's gone. It can flatten a city in an hour. All of them can. A large city like San Francisco, like we saw, or is it San Francisco or San Diego in this
San
movie?
Francisco.
Yeah, because of the Golden Gate Bridge. Completely flattened that. Paris, France was completely demolished. I mean, Las Vegas completely demolished. So I mean, it can do some fucking heavy work in this movie. It can do some heavy destruction. And I felt like it was just their way of saying, you've been in the depths for how long with evading everything we've thrown at you. You can live. I mean, we saw. Well, one thing I also thought was funny in this movie, at the very beginning, you get to see basically footage that the army has taken of this creature throughout the decades, and you get to see them trying to kill it at one point with giant nukes. How the fuck did those cameras survive?
Movie
How the hell
magic.
did that footage did not survive? You literally saw a camera sitting on a beach with the things coming at them, the water and the everything coming right. That camera did not survive. Nothing survived. All the boats shooting film, the nothing survived that. So what the hell happened? But anyway, like that might have been one nuke that hit him, but it didn't do shit to him. You didn't see any scars on him. You didn't nothing. So I felt like it was their way of saying you've been evading us, hiding from us for decades, basically staying dormant. You just came out to help us. You seem, though you caused enough destruction yourself, and you caused countless deaths yourself. You also are a giant monster who fucking like no, we're not going to do anything to you at this moment in time. We already wasted enough ammo. Go.
That's one thing that every monster movie does ever. Even like a lot of movies that just have some kind of big bad guy, they always try shooting them just with guns, and it
Yeah,
never works. And it's like you might
yeah,
as well just stop putting these in movies now because we know these bad guys are immune to bullets.
yeah.
And it's like, what's the point?
I loved at the end when Ford Brody, the Mothra is coming in trying to bite the boat before Godzilla comes up and grabs its neck, and he just pulls out a little handgun.
Yeah, it's just a plain old pistol.
I loved that so much because he knew he was not going to do anything. He absolutely knew that nothing was going to happen to this thing, but it's just human nature to grab anything that is threatening
Hmm.
to hold. Like, if there's a baseball bat next to him, he would have grabbed the baseball bat.
Yeah.
Like, it's human nature to feel that, because well, Justin, what is the only thing that can take out uh So we're the top of the food chain. Food chain. Humans are the top of the food chain. What's the only thing that can take out humans?
I mean, like a lion could kill a person.
Justin, what's the only thing that can take out humans, like as a species?
Humans.
And what can kill humans?
Guns.
So, since the only threat we have as humans is humans, and the thing that we created to kill them are guns, we are just like, what are we gonna carry on us to kill things? Guns. Okay, what works? Guns. Okay, giant monster, shoot guns at it. Doesn't work. Fuck. It's like, okay, send a nuke at it. Nothing. Fuck. Okay, we're screwed. Everybody just go home. Or, well, your home's destroyed. Well, shit. Lay in the street. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. It's like one of those things. Like, I get it. I think it's funny. I thought it was hilarious. I laughed out loud when I saw him pull the pistol out of his pants, or out of his pants, off his belt, and just holds it up. I'm like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Like that's nothing. If Godzilla wasn't there, you're dead. But yeah, I enjoyed it for. I hate saying it, but for what it was, I think it was out of the MonsterVerse. Which I'm pretty sure Universal wanted to call their universe. But from this new MonsterVerse, from Godzilla and Kong Skull Island, I just thought Godzilla was more real, and that's why I like it more.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it was more threatening, and that's why I liked it more. But Justin, ratings, recommendation.
I think I'll give Godzilla a 7. What do you give it?
I give Godzilla a 7.5.
And what would you recommend?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. It's a mindless movie.
Yeah, this one's directed by Gareth Edwards, and in 2019 he was supposed to direct that one too, Godzilla King of Monsters, but he dropped out of that. Which sucks. But yeah, 2019 Godzilla King of Monsters. I'm looking forward to that more than the Kong versus Godzilla, because I don't know how it's gonna work. But yeah.
So let's know down below, guys. What do you think of Kong? Or not God damn it, you got my head. Of Godzilla. Until next time, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.